The UK is in the midst of an unprecedented political storm. Labour leader Keir Starmer is under immense pressure, with demands for his resignation growing louder. At the same time, his deputy faces the possibility of a police investigation, an unfolding scandal that has sent shockwaves through the political landscape. Just weeks ago, Starmer confidently assured the nation that if the police issued him a fixed penalty notice, he would do the right thing and step down. Now, as public scrutiny intensifies and protests erupt, he finds himself cornered, forced into an unexpected, unscripted live announcement that no one saw coming. For months, Britain has been grappling with a cost of living crisis, a divided government, and mounting public frustration. Labour, once seen as the solution to years of Conservative mismanagement, is now drowning in its own controversies. Reports of financial misconduct, internal toxicity, and allegations of bullying at the highest levels have shattered the party's credibility. Starmer, who positioned himself as the leader who would restore integrity after the Corbyn years, is now the most unpopular Prime Minister in modern history. In a shocking revelation, polls indicate that even Elon Musk has a higher favourability rating in the UK. The disconnect between Labour and the British public has never been clearer. Farmers, pensioners, and working families feel abandoned, while millions of voters and activists demand a general election, arguing that Labour's governance has been a complete failure. Yet, for weeks, Starmer remained silent, until now. With speculation at an all-time high, he made a surprise live address to the nation. Was he resigning? Calling for an early election? Or was this a desperate attempt to salvage his crumbling credibility? Standing before the cameras, his expression was tense. Gone was the usual political polish. I have heard the calls. I have seen the frustration. I know that trust in politics is at an all-time low, and I will not ignore it. Then, he dropped the bombshell. He was taking the first steps toward a snap election. The backlash was immediate. Political analysts were stunned. Social media exploded, with hashtags like #GeneralElectionNow and #Starmer out dominating Twitter. The Conservatives slammed the move as reckless, accusing Starmer of panicking under pressure. But the real shock came from within Labour itself. Behind closed doors, party MPs were furious. Some viewed it as a strategic maneuver. Others saw it as sheer desperation, a last-ditch gamble before his own party turned against him. Then came the unthinkable. A leak from inside Labour exposed a devastating betrayal. A senior MP, once seen as loyal to Starmer, had been secretly negotiating with Tory officials. What began as whispers of internal unrest suddenly materialised into a full-fledged coup. Labour MPs were allegedly plotting to remove Starmer before the election could even take place. Could this be one of the most brutal political betrayals in modern history? The clock is ticking, and Britain stands at a crossroads. If Labour collapses, the election may be called off before it even begins. If Starmer clings to power, the UK faces one of the most unpredictable elections in recent memory. What happens next? Will Starmer survive? Will Sunak's Conservatives seize the moment? Or is Britain on the verge of its most shocking political shake-up in decades? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned as this historic crisis unfolds. The UK is witnessing a political upheaval that seems to grow by the day. With Keir Starmer under intense pressure, Labour is at a breaking point, its future uncertain. Calls for his resignation are louder than ever, yet his deputy faces a police investigation that could add more fuel to the fire. Just weeks ago, Starmer pledged that if he received a fixed penalty notice, he would step down in the name of integrity. Now, as the heat rises and the public's anger boils over, Starmer finds himself grappling with an impossible situation, facing public scrutiny in ways he never expected. For months, the country has dealt with the weight of the cost of living crisis, all while the government remains divided. Labour, once seen as the alternative to the Conservative chaos, is now caught in a whirlwind of scandals. Internal turmoil, accusations of financial mismanagement, and reports of toxic culture at the top have plagued the party. Starmer, who promised to bring stability and integrity after the Corbyn years, is now facing his own undoing, with trust in him and his leadership at an all-time low. As public frustration rises, Labour MPs are growing restless. Some back Starmer, while others feel it's time for a change. The next few weeks will determine whether Labour can salvage its reputation or if this marks the beginning of its downfall. The political climate in the UK is shifting, and Starmer's grip on power may be slipping faster than he can control.